Welcome to the Business Boys Talkin' Business Virtual Power Lunch. Please welcome your hosts, Tyler Price and Brian Magleby.
Hey, look at that.
TP is in the house. Brian Magleby with the Idaho Innovation Center.
That's funny because my initials are TP and yours are BM.
They are. We could have a lot of fun with those initials right there. So I usually call you TP, and
well, we won't say what I call you.
You got big sexy. I'll say it. Right. So it's good to be here and talking some business. The end of the month of September. And we what a show we have today.
Yeah, we're excited about this.
I have to admit that did sleep last night, doing a little bit of research here, and the more I watched, the more intimidated I got.
There you go.
So I went and took my frustrations out on a little blue ball at the racquetball court today. So I'm feeling a little bit better. So let's talk about let's see, what did we have last week?
Last week we had Fawad. Yeah, Fawad did a great job. You know, living the American dream. Came from England and UK, came over, and here he's chasing it, and has his challenges because of that, but overall the guy's employing people and doing great things.
Doing great. Got 3 great businesses here in eastern Idaho and continuing to be successful, and it was great to hear of his successes here in the area. So today's show, wow, Nate Eaton from East Idaho News, going to be awesome. We've got a great training topic at the end, traits of leadership, but let's see, He's interviewed some serial killers. He's interviewed some presidential candidates, celebrities, athletes, authors, musicians. You know what I watched last night? Just Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
Dr. Phil, Nancy Grace.
Yeah.
Dr. Oz. Yeah, he's interviewed the biggest and the best. And there's that case that's going on up north that maybe he's had been a little bit involved on. That we'll maybe get a few ideas and opinions on that as well. So
there we go.
What a great business he's helped build at East Idaho News, and we are excited. So let's talk about the class that we have starting next month.
Yeah, great class. Right?
Digital online marketing. So if your business uses any kind of digital online marketing, this is the class that you need to be on. Absolutely. Ryan taught it last time. Last time we had to do it all by Zoom. This time we're hoping to do most of it not by Zoom, but we will have that accessible. But we are going to try and do it at the Idaho Innovation Center starting next week.
Yeah, and if you're a solopreneur, if you are a small to medium to large, this guy knows what he's doing. Let's just say that.
He does, and he'll learn exactly what it takes to make your business successful. We actually have people bring their laptops so he can work directly on and see where you're at and what you're doing and what kind of settings you have and doing all that. So that class, if you're interested in that class, you can hit that QR code, or you can go to idahosbdc.org and register there as well. And it is only $149. It's a 4-week class every Wednesdays from 1:30 to 3, every Wednesday in the month of October. And Ryan Yost, he's actually going to be our guest on the show next week.
Next week, yeah.
And he's going to be talking about what he's going to be going over in that class. So $149. You can register by calling the Idaho Innovation Center or going to idahosbdc.org. It's a great class. The feedback on it last time that he taught it this spring was absolutely phenomenal. Everybody thought that he just catered right to their business, and that's what we like our instructors to do. So,
yeah.
So let's watch this little video. Yeah, we had so many to choose from. I've never had a guest that had this many videos. We went through quite a few of them, and we came down. I narrowed it down to 2 of them. His interview with Dr. Phil, and people I encourage you to go watch that one. He just did at CrimeCon convention and interviewed Dr. Phil there. Absolutely a great, phenomenal interview. But we picked this one. One of the things that East Idaho's News is known for is their Secret Santa. Yeah. How generous they are to the communities here throughout all of eastern Idaho. And we picked the one, when I say intimidation, we try to get hundreds and maybe into the thousands of views on our videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got millions.
Yeah.
So he has many videos that are into the 3.2 million.
That's great.
So I had a lot to choose from, but this is one of his best, one of the ones that has the most views. And what a great example the Secret Santa is. So let's watch this quick 3-minute video. Some of you may have already seen it, but it's a great introduction to what East Idaho News does for the Eastern Idaho community.
Hi everybody and Merry Christmas. Nate Eaton here with EastIdahoNews.com along with Josh and some other team members. A Secret Santa has asked us to help him give away $250,000 for Christmas this year. So we are searching for the biggest people in need to help. And today I want to tell you about the Alvarez family. They live in Blackfoot. And when the mother became pregnant, Ashley, she suddenly developed some very serious health issues. They have 3 children, all under 3. They are doing the best they can to survive day to day. Jace, the husband, has found part-time work. He's looking for full-time work. And this is a family, we're told, that never asks anybody for anything. They're trying the best they can to be self-sustaining. Well, the Secret Santa was touched by their story, and so he has $5,000 for them. Jace? Yeah. Are you Jace? How you doing, man?
I'm good.
I'm Nate with East Idaho News. Are you on your way to work?
Yeah.
Do you have a minute? Is your wife here?
Yeah, she's here.
We have a gift for you.
Really?
Yeah, a Secret Santa said is here to drop it off.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
it
awesome.
won't take long. It'll take a minute. Are you gonna be late if you go inside?
Yeah, I'll
okay.
be late.
You want us to
Sorry.
leave it with her?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll wait for a minute. See, make sure you get in.
Hi, are you Ashley?
Yeah.
How are you?
Good.
Good. We're with East Idaho News. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
You probably wonder what we're doing here.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, luckily we caught your husband on the way to work.
Yeah.
We have a gift for you that someone asked us to drop off
Okay.
for you guys. We understand you've had quite a few serious health issues lately.
Yeah, it's been a rough year and a half. I got pregnant with my youngest. He just turned 8 months yesterday, and somehow I got super sick with that and went into starvation mode. My body kind of shut down, so I've been struggling with like heart problems, kidney problems, and everything in between.
How are you doing today?
I have good days and bad days, for sure. My kids are, they keep me busy, but they're my biggest blessing, for sure.
Yeah, and how are you doing, Jace?
I'm good. As long as she's healthy, I'm happy. So that's the biggest concern.
He's learned how to be mommy and daddy.
Yeah. That could be tough with 3 little kids, right?
little.
All under
Yeah.
3?
Yep. This is our oldest. She's almost 4. She's coming up on 4.
What's your name? Our middle
Can you say? Braylee?
Rayleigh.
Yeah.
Are you in preschool?
Yeah.
Well, we've got your mom and dad a present. I bet they'll share it with you. Should we let them
wanna take
open
it?
it now or on Christmas?
Should we open it now or on Christmas?
Okay,
Now?
now.
You want to grab it? You want to get
There
it?
you go.
Do you want to open it? No? You're being shy? It's not cookies.
It's not cookies or
Wow.
toffee.
Holy moly. Are you serious?
We're serious. There you go. Merry Christmas. Hopefully I can help you guys out.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's huge. Thank you guys. Thank you. Wow.
No idea how much that means to us and our family.
Oh, wow.
Nothing like a little tearjerker
Yeah.
right before we bring Nate Eaton on. So,
Starting Christmas early.
That's
In
right.
October, September.
Yep.
Well,
So,
So you ended up here in Eastern Idaho, or were you from the area, first off?
I'm not from here. I
Yeah.
did go to school at BYU, Idaho.
Yeah.
Never thought I'd stay here.
Yeah.
But after I graduated, or right when I was about to graduate, I'd always wanted to be a news reporter. I sent 50 VHS tapes all over the country, and you might know what those are.
Yeah,
The
you
little
might.
tapes you put in the VCR.
yeah, some of our audience might know
Yeah.
what those are. Most of our audience will.
Before the days of internet video, sent them to news stations all over the country, and I heard back from 2, and they both said, no thanks, not interested.
Yeah.
So I went to Channel 8, and I met with the news director and showed him my tape, and then I went to Channel 6 in Pocatello, and then I went to Channel 3, which used to be separate from Channel 8 on 17th Street, and the news director there offered me a job and said,
KIDK.
KIDK, Eyewitness News 3.
Yep.
And my job was to cover the news in the Upper Valley, so everything basically north of Rigby. And that's what I did for 3 years. My contract was for 2 years, but I liked it so much I stayed another year. And then the day I left town to move to Virginia, I got stuck in the snow twice.
Wow.
And I said, I'm never coming back.
Yeah.
And here I am. Here I am. And that's kind of how I ended up in the industry, in the business, in news. And always wanted to be a TV reporter, but never, ever imagined that I'd be doing online news here in Idaho Falls. But it's worked out.
Yeah, and hasn't that been a pretty significant pivot? Because if you look back, 60, 70 years ago, it was all print because TV really wasn't a thing, right? And those guys were the powerhouse of really politically everything, right? And now those are just fading out. Yeah. Like, I'm surprised that newsprint is even around anymore. At what point does it just drop off completely? So, but you took it, and in my opinion, kind of some of the first ones to really be online. Maybe not the first, but you were leading the charge. Is that fair to say? And what was the vision and the mindset behind it? Why go online versus setting up a studio?
Great question. So I did TV for about 9-10 years, and in Richmond, Virginia, where I remember starting, and we had one computer in the newsroom that was the Facebook computer. If you wanted to post on Facebook, you had to go to that one computer, and they didn't want you to post about the stories or anything because they wanted people to watch the news. Yeah. Then it changed to post everything on Facebook and post everything online, but still we need to give the audience an incentive to watch tonight at 11. So it was this interesting balance, and different consultants would tell you different things. And I knew that things were shifting dramatically toward your phone, getting the news on your phone and social media, and they were adding more newscasts, but not increasing the staff. So you'd get into work. I'd get into work at 2:30, and they'd say you're leading the 5 o'clock show with something, and I'd go do that for 5, and something else for 6, and then something else for 11. So it was go. Just get something on the air in a lot of ways that the audience by the next day isn't thinking about. And I'm like, this online model, you have unlimited time, you have unlimited space, you have unlimited words, you can put a ton of effort into one story. And the great thing is, you as the consumer of news, you don't have to read it if you don't want to. You don't have to click on it. Yeah. But if you do want to, you can. So that, as a journalist, as a reporter, that really intrigued me, that I could do something like a Secret Santa video. And if we need to run it for 20 minutes, we can. For 5 minutes, we can. And yeah, I would say locally, when we started in 2015 in Idaho Falls, we wanted to have some sort of national news on our site to give people a little bit of everything. But AP would not partner with us because we weren't traditional. Right. The only outlet that would was CNN at the time. And we were an experiment with them because they're like, you don't have a TV program, you don't have a radio, and you don't have a newspaper. You're just online in Idaho Falls. Yeah, we'll try this with you and see how it goes. Yeah. And now they've got thousands of outlets that are online only. Yeah. So the local angle, I would say we were from the beginning, and it's, it's been much more successful than I ever could have imagined. With the community support of you guys and the small businesses out there and our advertisers. I mean, it really is a locally owned and operated operation. It is.
What a great to transition. So what was it that incented you to come back to this area? What was it that it took? Was it the idea? Was it the dollars? What was it? Was it the area? What kind of?
It definitely wasn't the area.
He got stuck in the snow twice trying to leave.
Yeah, my wife's from Richmond, where we lived, and we loved being close to the capital, D.C. We loved being close to the beach. And so we were not looking to come west at all. But one day, out of the blue, I got a phone call from a guy named Frank Vandersloot. Yeah. And he said that, and I was not friends with Frank. It's not like we were acquaintances. I had done a story on him when I was here at KIDK, but we didn't keep in touch or anything. But he called and he said, I've kind of been following your career, and there's a news void in Idaho Falls. The Channel 3 and 8 had just combined. The Post-Register had cut a lot of people. He said, I feel that there's stories that aren't getting told, and I'm not a news person, but I want to help fill this void for the community. And he said, I don't want to run it. I basically want to fund it in the beginning until you're profitable, and then I don't want anything to do with it. And to this day, he's never come to an editorial meeting or anything like that. Yeah. He really has not been involved at all. So I said, no, I'm not coming. And that night I sent him an email with like 50 questions of, okay, if we were to do this, would we have a studio? Would we do a daily newscast? Would we do this and that and whatever? And I never heard back from him. And 2 years later, so for 2 years I had to think about this. And during those 2 years, the industry is rapidly changing, like I said, to social media. Mm-hmm. So I was looking to move anyway. I had offers at bigger stations and bigger markets. But he called me. My wife was having our second baby in the hospital, and he calls and he's like, I just found your email from 2 years prior. I'm flying out to DC. Can we meet tomorrow? And I told my wife, and she said, we're not moving to Idaho. We're not going. And I drove to DC and sat down with Frank at this restaurant. And the first thing he said is, what do you want out of your life, and is your current job giving it to you? Yeah. And at that point, I'm like, well, actually, I have 2 little kids now. I'm working till midnight. As I said, I'm turning multiple stories a day. I'm not really getting much satisfaction at work. Maybe I do want to change, and maybe this potential job could give it to me. Yeah. And so I kind of listed and went through everything I wanted, and 3 months later moved out here to Idaho Falls, and said, we'll give it 2 years. If it doesn't work for 2 years, I'll do something else. And here we are 6 years later.
6 years later, and quite the success. So let's talk about the business model that you've built up. That it's involved with social media. You've got your website that is so awesome. So kind of talk about how it's evolved over the last 6 years.
Well, social media has been huge for us, at least in the beginning, and it still is now. When we launched, I would say the majority of our traffic, the majority of people coming to our site were coming from Facebook. Now I would say it's maybe 20 to 30%. And that's just honestly Facebook, I think, tweaking the algorithm, because there's some days where we'll get a ton of traffic from Facebook, and some days where people are like, we can't see your stories at all on Facebook. Yeah. We never had a goal of being a Facebook site. We want to be a news website, and Facebook helps on the side.
Yes, promotes it.
Yeah, promotes it. And really, it was the tragic story of Dior Coons, the little boy who disappeared. He disappeared 10 days after we launched in 2015, and we happened to just really focus on that coverage, and I think that's what introduced us to the community. You'd hate to have a tragedy, But that's really what kind of put us on the scene. And then we can, with the online model, you can work a lot quicker. You don't have to wait till a newscast, as I said. If there's breaking news now, we can cover it and we can move on, or we can go a little bit more in depth. We don't have to worry about deadlines. We really don't have deadlines. If we have tentative deadlines, but if something happens, we can pivot and move. So our first day, we had 5,000 page views. So July 1st of 2015. Yesterday, we had 400,000 page views. Yeah. So it's increased. I don't know what the math is. Yeah. But I would say last year we had 117 million page views. And our first year we had 5 million. So it has grown. We have an audience not just in eastern Idaho, but I got an email yesterday from a guy in Norway who found us because of Secret Santa, and then suddenly became interested in the news here. And it's fascinating that people will follow it, and there's some high-profile cases that they'll want to follow, and it's just kind of grown, I guess, organically, word of mouth. We haven't ever spent any money on advertising other than our own site. And I got to say that
one of the things that's always kept me there is the positiveness of the station. You have the Feel Good Fridays. Yeah. You have the Secret Santas. You do quite a few interviews with business people and stuff. And at my house, my wife has made the thing that we don't watch the news because it's been so depressing for the last 18 months. And so and now you're one of her only sources that she'll go to get the news. So are these things going to continue? The Feel Good Fridays, the Secret Santas, and we know that the news is going to continue because you are the master of getting to the news sources. Oh, absolutely. That I can't watch cable news anymore. Any channel, any network, because of that. And people don't
if all we cared about was page views and traffics, we would do sex offenders and mugshots and car crashes all day.
Yeah.
When we don't want to just do that.
No.
Of course we don't. So yeah, I'm all about you gotta have that balance. You look at it like a meal. You can't just have salad all day. You gotta have meat and carbs and even dessert. And so you don't want to give just dessert all the time, the TMZ type of news. Yeah. So yeah, we try to have a balance of everything. You know, I hate to say that the breaking news and the more splashy cases do get more traffic. People are interested in that, but that doesn't mean we're not going to cover the other stuff. We'll still go to city council meeting and we'll still do the positive stories. I'm working on a couple of features right now. Those to me are what I love, the features. And if it's been a lot of days of heavy news, I know that personally as a reporter, I've got to get out and do something positive or uplifting just to keep a balance in my own mind.
Yeah. Well, and kind of coming back to when you sat down with Frank Vandersloot and he's saying, are you fulfilled basically is what he was saying in what you're doing and what is it that you want out of life? Well, now there's a little sparkle in your eye saying, I love getting up to work and go do these things then.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's exactly it. I can now do. Is my current job giving me what I want in my life? Absolutely. If I want to go interview Dr. Phil, I can. Yeah. And we'll put it on the site and I don't have to worry that it's going to fit in a newscast or be tweaked by 5 different producers who want it presented a certain way.
Yeah. And only certain words said.
Yeah, exactly. We can put it up there and that's how it goes.
So then okay, so you kind of did come in and disrupted how things were done, right? I mean, that's kind of fair to say, I think. What's next? Do you guys have, do you think about that? Because when you look at even in how consumers shop, big box stores are dropping like flies, and some big box stores who see what's next, like Walmart's, are going to go compete with Amazon, right? Mm-hmm. And so just kind of using that analogy, because you're still a small market, I mean, that being said, 117 million views, well, that seems pretty good to me. Yeah. But I don't know. But what is it, how do you guys stay, I guess, fresh and on the forefront? Because something else will happen. Some new technology or something
will disrupt us. Yeah, and I do want to say our goal was never to put anybody out of business.
Yeah.
In fact, I would love it if 5 other news websites popped up locally. Yeah. I'm all in favor of let's have a website devoted solely to city politics and let's all share resources. That's one of the things we do. We have partners with news agencies, with KSL in Salt Lake, with the Idaho Statesman in Boise. It's all about getting you the information. We don't want any TV station or newspaper to go under. But believe me, that hurts us, everybody, individually, because you lose a source. We're always thinking about what's next. You know, a few years ago, we got a pitch from somebody to go app only. Yeah. Just do an app only, and it just didn't feel right. We do have an app. It's a free app, and it's there if you like apps.
Notices all the time. In fact, I'm sure my phone's gone off
probably
a couple times while we're
yeah. So there's the app if you like the app, but we have the website, and then some people do just think we're Facebook. I don't know what's next. I do know that we do have to pivot, and we've pivoted. We've tried things that have not worked. I guess that you could say have failed. When we first launched, we had a community announcement board where you could post your son's graduation photos or a wedding announcement. Nobody used it. Yeah. Nobody used it. We tried and it just didn't work. Yeah. Obituaries have been hugely successful. And that's something that we added on, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah. It's, in fact, underneath our homepage, it's our most visited section on our website. Wow. So we're always looking at adding new features, changing things if we have to. Maybe one day we'll all have news glasses, and that's how you'll read it. I don't know what it is, but that's what I've learned. You've got to pivot and also not get caught in the trend of the day, of the month, whatever it is, because as a small business owner, you can get caught up in doing all sorts of crazy stuff that really, in a month or so, it's past.
It's good.
So you, as I've watched you, you don't seem like you go in with an agenda, and that can't be said about all your peers, right?
Yeah.
So why not? Why not be like everybody else? Oh, no, I shouldn't say everybody else, but I'm going to say I did something where I made the news, and the news people showed up, and I kind of started getting after the little news girl that came, and I said, "You're here with your agenda." She goes, "I'm not here with my agenda, but my manager has one." And so anyway, I said, "Well, let's do this thing," and we did the interview. But and it's both sides. One side isn't less guilty of it than the other. So how do you not push your agenda, and why? How is it that you kind of stay pure to what you're doing?
Well, I have never been a huge political person.
Right.
I would be a horrible talk show host because I'm not that opinionated. And if you told me that you believe X and you believe Y and they're completely different, I can, in most cases, understand both sides. I might not agree with you, but all right, I respect you, and I still think we can sit here and talk and go have lunch and do whatever. And I've covered events and protests and rallies where I might not necessarily agree with what they're doing, but I can respect their opinion to do that. It does definitely get more viral moments to throw an opinion out there, especially if it's controversial. You can spot the, I don't know if you call them journalists, they would call themselves journalists, the reporters that definitely do have an agenda. At East Idaho News, we don't. It's to bring you the news. We just want to bring you the news. And 80 to 90% of the stuff we report on is not controversial. It's a car crash or a trial or something. There are some political issues we have to cover, and we'll try to balance that as best we can.
People, but you got to understand, people turn anything political when you post something, anything on Facebook. There's people that are going to have their opinions, and you have moderators out there that watch what people are saying, because you just have some people, some trolls and stuff that they're out there to make things.
Watch it all burn.
And you know when it tripled was when the lockdown, COVID, March of 2020, and even our colleagues at KSL say their comments tripled. And that we don't know if it's because more people were at home, people were fed up, they were angry, either side. And it just is vitriolic. And we could hire 5 full-time people to just moderate comments all day long. We've debated, do we shut them down? But a lot of people want to read them and want to share their opinion, and we believe they should have a point. So yeah, it can be tricky to try to go there, or tempting, I guess you could say, to voice your opinions or get controversial people on, but then you turn off a large swath of your argument. We don't have an opinion section. We've debated that. I'm sure it'd be clicked on more than anything. Letters to the editor. But we don't do that. We just want to give you the news. I'm not an opinionated. I mean, I do have opinions, but I'm not a passionately opinionated person, and don't think I ever will be.
Talk to us about some of your favorite people that you've interviewed and why you've interviewed them, and what your results of some of the people that you've interviewed. You've interviewed some amazing people.
I'm lucky that a lot of times celebrities or famous people will say yes to interviews. Some are very, very cool, down to earth. Some, they do the interview and they're immediately off. But honestly, I get more joy and more fulfillment out of interviewing the normal people, I guess you could say. Once I was given an assignment to go to a hairdresser and interview this woman who, it was on a domestic violence awareness day, and I was not thrilled about the story, but I went with my cameraman and walked in, and this woman's getting a makeover. They were giving her a makeover. She was a domestic abuse survivor, and she goes and she pulls back her hair on one side, and her face has been completely rebuilt. And I learned that she was holding their child about a year prior, and her husband came up and put a gun to her head and pulled the trigger. And she collapsed, and she survived that. And her 8-year-old called the police, and I'm sitting there in this hairdresser, and here's this woman who's telling me how she's forgiven her ex-husband who was in prison for life, and telling me this very heroic story. I've got a photo with her and I on my wall in my office, just because it's those type of stories that I would rather talk about all day. No offense to Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil was nice, but it's Star Austin in Richmond, Virginia, who survived that attack that can influence so many people watching. So she's one that comes to mind.
Thank you for doing that. I just wish there was more of this.
Because it is inspirational, because someone watching that is dealing with the same thing, and it's giving them hope that, hey, I can get out of it. Hopefully, right? That's what
absolutely.
I mean, it's not just the story itself. There's good fallout and potentially bad fallout, but the hope is that, hey, maybe someone can see this and say, hey, I can stand up and take control of this situation.
Absolutely, yeah. It can inspire anybody, even if you're not in that situation, though, to change and move on. I once went into a women's prison for heroin addicts. They were all heroin addicts, and they were working through this program, and spent the day there with them. And that was interesting, because I was around people that if it wasn't for my job, I would not have hung around. But you get to see this perspective from a whole different side and understand what they're going through, and how, they can walk out of those prison doors clean of heroin, but their biggest fear was, will I get back into it? And share their story and and talk about resources there. So I'm often asked if I have a favorite story. I really don't. Do you have a favorite kid? It's the same sort of thing. Yeah, some days I do. It's whatever story I did yesterday that's my favorite. But there's a few up there that I'll never forget and that I still keep in touch with years later.
That's great.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
So a couple years ago, you were hot on the trot in Hawaii, and that's timed when you were being posted on ABC News, NBC News, and stuff like that because of your willingness to go out there and to go to the sources to find that. So, kind of talk about what Eastern Idaho has coming up with the Daybell case.
Oh man, that has been a case that I never thought would end up where it's at, and that Hawaii trip changed everything really.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, because we were there, it was within 24 hours that every network had crews coming over. They wanted to work with us, and we had actually been working with Dateline NBC on it already, and so we've been able to contribute to their shows. But of course, the Lori's trial is on hold until she is deemed competent, if that happens. Chad's trial will happen probably in the spring. Next week, it's the change of venue hearing, and East Idaho News will be discussed at that hearing, from what I understand, by the attorneys, because Chad's attorney wants it moved out of Eastern Idaho, so they're probably going to talk about our coverage and the extent of it. The prosecutor likely does not want it moved, so anyway, that should be interesting to be, I guess, part of that in a way. But what that did going to Hawaii is it opened the door to a lot of other people like tipping us off, and there's so many veins to this story.
Yes.
And there'll probably be a long-term docu-series coming up after the fact or sooner. I mean, there's podcasts options. There's so many out there. We've been hit up so many times by these national companies, but our focus is just reporting on the story, and hopefully it starts to progress and it comes to a conclusion.
That's what we all want, is to come to a conclusion. But kudos to you for the work that you've done on that case, and it's still yet to come out. Is it going to be an O.J. Simpson of that level in nationwide? Is it going to be to that kind of level, do you think?
When Lori first arrived from Hawaii and had her first court appearance, I've never seen anything like it at the courthouse. Keith Morrison from Dateline was there, and he said the same thing, and he's covered these all over the place. I mean, there was dozens of people, and then COVID hit. And I think a lot will depend on if it actually goes to a trial and it's the two of them together. I know Court TV wants to cover it gavel to gavel. They want the whole thing. And what else is happening in the news? If it's a slow news time, the people will blow it up. If it's not, if they enter a plea agreement and there's not much of a trial, it could fizzle out. I don't know. I think it will. People still are interested in it. We still get calls and tips about it daily, and anytime we cover anything with it, people read it. So.
Absolutely. What a phenomenal job you've done with not only that case, but everything. I can contribute to East Idaho News as being one of the biggest success stories in Eastern Idaho over the last 5-6 years.
Oh, that's very kind of you.
So it's a true source of where people go to, and I just love how you stay on the positive side. And it's just a breath of fresh air. With my wife saying no more news. That's the only source that we go to, and I have to say that you're making a positive impact and splash here in Eastern Idaho.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do. As I said, we couldn't do this without you. I mean, if nobody reads it or watches it, we're out of business.
Yes.
But we do have readers and we do have watchers, and we love it when we hear from you. Not necessarily in the comments section, but if we get something wrong or you worry that we might have an agenda or a slant on something, call or email us. Please do it. It happens sometimes, and often we're like, you know what? You're right. You might have a point. We will change this, or we can tweak that. That's another beauty about being online. Is we can change stuff and modify it in real time if we need to.
It's not scripted, and
it's not scripted, and we're not out to get anybody.
And you're at the when there's breaking news. I love that I can tune in and hear what's going on. And it's just absolutely, you guys are truly nailing it here in Eastern Idaho. So is there anything else about East Idaho News that we haven't brought up that you wanted to touch on today?
Well, I do want to thank, from the beginning I said I never wanted to put up a paywall. and charge people to read the news. And we've never had to do that, and we have no plans to do that. And that's because of our sponsors. We no longer need outside funding to survive. It's the local businesses that advertise with us and it's the local people that see the advertisers and support them, you know how it is, that makes us a success and makes us grow. We just opened up office in Pocatello, so we have a reporter there, and we're hiring a graphic designer right now. So if anyone's interested,
for some graphic design work.
Yeah, we really are looking to grow, and maybe one day we'll have an affiliate network of little East Idaho News type operations in Jackson and Bozeman and all around, where we are able to share resources. And I just appreciate everyone that has supported us and given us news tips, and it's been great.
Businesses are willing to pay where they can get the results, and they definitely see the results with East Idaho News, because it is such a place for people to go. So absolutely appreciate you being here and taking the time out to do it. Talk about this quote that you have.
Well, this kind of goes in conjunction with what we were saying earlier. This is Peter Jennings, the great ABC News anchor, who you can get caught up talking with. He says, don't talk to the movers and shakers, talk to the moved and the shaken. A lot of times when there's a natural disaster, everybody wants to interview the mayor or the governor, the movers and the shakers. But the real story is down with those who have been moved and shaken, those that have been affected by the natural disaster or the horrible things. And that's something that I try to strive for. An interview with the governor is great. An interview with whoever is awesome, but it's those real people, quote unquote, real people. They've got the stories.
Moved and the shaken.
And that's the job of journalists, is to present those stories.
When he submitted this, I was like, there is no better quote for Nate Eaton in Eastern Idaho, because this is what he does. And I have to say, you create a lot of the movers and shakers with the stories that you tell, with the Feel Good Fridays and the Secret Santas I'm a man, but I have to say that most of those I get choked up in myself. My wife, I have to usually leave the room because I don't want my wife to see me shedding the few tears and stuff. And that's what you do. And that quote really is powerful for what you've done here in Eastern Idaho. So.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And we'll be back with more Secret Santa. We're gearing up.
That's good news. I'm sure that makes a lot of people.
Biggest year ever. It's good. We're going to be busy.
The biggest year ever.
The person that's staying anonymous with that, I mean, people probably have ideas, but that's a great individual that's just like, hey, Nate, I trust you. Here you go. You and your team go figure out how to give away the money that I worked hard to help people. I mean, that's a big win for the community, but that's really a stand-up person. So. And
it is. It's been life-changing for me. I'm just the deliverer, it's a secret, and it will always be a secret.
That's great. That's
great. What a crew you have. I know quite a few people on your staff, Josh and Brittany and a few others, and man, you've built a really good team over there, and we wish you only the best of success in the future.
Well, you're very kind. Thank you so much.
You betcha. Thank you, Nate Eaton, for being here. We're going to quickly transition into our next segment of talking about some leadership and some of the things that we've talked about here, with Nate. But we put together a few thoughts here, and this is a topic. I do all-day seminars teaching on leadership, and so this is something that we could make a topic each and every week. But I put together a couple things that that I've used over the years, and some traits of leadership, and so I just want to go around this circle. Now, each of the pieces of the pie, if you could say that of this is equal in this one, but usually it's not all equal in each of the circumstances. But drive, absolutely an important thing. A desire to lead. If you want to be a leader in your organization, you have to have that desire to lead, and we'll end out a little bit more on that topic. Honesty and integrity. Self-confidence, self-esteem. Go ahead, you did a few.
Well, open-mindedness. I think, just again, Nate, you had someone fly out, sit down with you, and it wasn't trying to say, hey, come work with us. It's like, are you fulfilled, right? And so this person, Frank Vandersloot, was very open-minded and wanted to hear about you. That says a lot. I mean, to me, I just love when people come in and it's not about them. It's, hey, Nate, what do you need in life, right? And that open-mindedness really has created some disruptive ways in which the news now is being told. So
yeah. Yep. Intelligence, extraversion, and I did some research on this. Extraversion. What does that mean? And and I encourage people to look it up. But you have to be that extrovert in being the leader of the organization. And of course, in most times in a leadership type, you have to have good knowledge of the business. Yeah. So let's transition down to this bottom left here, and these are 5 really crucial traits of effective leaders. If you want to have, and I know most people out of there, if you think about it, there's been certain people that you've worked with in business or in life that have these characteristics, and these are to me 5 of the very top things that you've got to have if you want to be an effective leader today. Integrity. You can't, you won't get anywhere by telling lies or using people. And things like that. You've got to have integrity. People have to look up and that they know that they can trust you in whether it's a business or personal situation.
Yeah, vision. I think vision's a big one. Being able to know the bigger picture of what you're trying to do. Again, Nate, taking the news the way that you did. All these other places have been around for a long time. Why didn't they have that vision? So it takes sometimes a new vision to be able to come in and disrupt and get after things. So.
Very good. Self-awareness. You have to be, it goes back to the top there, you have to have a desire to lead. And you have to have that drive in doing it. Decisiveness. You have to be able to make decisions if you want to. You have to step to the plate when you're called upon if you want to be an effective leader. And collaboration. You've got to be able to rally the troops around you if you want. Being a team leader, the old saying, there is no I in team.
Well, and I have to collaborate with my staff because I'm the dumbest guy in the room. So it's like I need them to share, and they're looking to me to lead, and I'm looking to them to give great input, which they do. We have great staff and people that work with us, and so. But without that collaboration, I think you miss out on some of the little pivots that need to happen along the way as well. So if you're part of the leadership group, don't be afraid to share the collaboration either. Yeah.
Yep, and this is just a few of the points, and I'm going to end with this quote on the bottom, and this is by one of the biggest people that I look up to that has made been successful in the sporting industry, Vince Lombardi, and he said, "Leaders aren't born; they are made, and they are made just like anything else through hard work, and that's the price we'll have to pay to achieve that goal or any goal." Leaders are not born. You have to raise yourself up. Look to people who can be your mentors in business and reach out and have those people mentor you to help you become that leader in your business. So,
fantastic.
We could talk all day on this, but we don't have time. We're a little bit over time, but I knew we would be with Nate Eaton.
Sorry, I talked too much.
You did not talk. We can sit here and talk forever, and we have quite the audience. Got a comment here from Chance Powell.
Oh, hey, Chance.
That says, Big Nate fan, love East Idaho News and what you have done with the organization. What are your future plans for East Idaho News? We talked a little bit about that, kind of.
Well, keep doing what we're doing and expand. I think that would be it. And maybe, down the line have some additional websites that might supplement East Idaho News with more specialty type things. We don't do sports now. We have no plans to do sports as of right now, but maybe one day that could be something. Or if we're going to do it, we got to do it right.
Yeah, very good. Awesome.
Which you always have done. So great advice from Nate Eaton. Thank you again. We have a few minor changes coming up to the Talkin-Business. And we'll be introducing some changes next week on next week's show. It's always good, but we've got a few changes. We'll tease it with tune in next week to see what our changes are.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
Yeah. Thanks for joining Talkin-Business, and we have a quick video. Not quick. It's about 7-minute video. Is that right, Aaron? 6-minute video here talking about leadership, and we encourage you to watch this. This is a great little lead out with some leadership, great leadership ideas. So thank you to Aaron. Thank you to Haley here with Andex. We didn't talk about our sponsors today.
Man,
we better get it in. We've never missed a week.
BDSI, thank you. Volpine, thank you. East Idaho, or the East Idaho News.
East Idaho
Well,
News,
East Idaho
we will
News,
thank
thank you.
them.
Idaho Innovation Center and the SBDC, and
SBDC.
Andex, who's done a fantastic job.
Absolutely, great job. If you need help with any of the production around here, we encourage you to reach out to Andex here at the West Bank in Idaho Falls, and look forward to some changes we're bringing to the show next week.
Yeah.
So watch this show on leadership, or the little segment on leadership, and we'll see you next week.
Wherever you are, leaders are important. Whether it's to lead powerful organizations or just to make sure a group of friends are having a good time. Here are the 7 traits that all great leaders possess. Number 1, they radiate positive energy. There is nothing more important in a team than passion and the will to succeed. And having a positive leader is an important part of that. Sometimes I sign onto Facebook and I see these status updates that just reeks of negativity. These people are not good leaders, and more often than not, they are not very successful either. Great leaders radiate positive energy. Not only does that make them more likable, leading to more trust, it also boosts the team's morale. And countless studies have shown a positive relationship between team morale and productivity. Number 2, they have a proactive attitude. When something goes wrong, it's easy to blame someone else or to find out why it happened immediately. But great leaders put that aside. They shift their focus entirely on solving the problem. I used to be in charge of the takeout service at the restaurant I worked at. So basically, people would call to make their order, and my job is to make sure everything is packed and given to the right person. It was a really busy restaurant, so mistakes weren't that uncommon. This one time, after a customer came to pick up his food, I realized that we forgot to pack part of his order. I was fairly new at the time and I didn't know what to do, but luckily one of the owners of the restaurant was there, so I explained to him what happened. He didn't blame me. He didn't even ask how it happened. Instead, he told me to call the customer, apologize for what happened, and then tell him that we will personally deliver the missing part of his order to his house. At the end of the day, the owner sat down with me to talk about how we can prevent something like this from happening again, but he did it at the end of the day, not when the problem was still unresolved. Great leaders know what to focus on at any given point in time. They are proactive. Number 3, they delegate tasks completely. Great leaders realize that they can't do everything themselves, so they focus on the most difficult tasks and delegates the rest to others. Let's say you make more than $30 an hour, yet every week you still spend several hours cleaning your house and doing the laundry. Considering a maid costs around $30 an hour, you might decide it's worthwhile to hire one to do your housework for you. When I first started delegating my work to others, I was hesitant because I knew that I could probably do a better job than the person I'm assigning it to. For example, a maid might put your clothes in the wrong drawer every once in a while, but you should still hire her, because the extra time you get to work on more valuable tasks generally outweighs the negatives. Delegating also means fully trusting your team to do the task without micromanaging their every move. Great leaders delegate tasks to others and trust them to get the job done. Number 4, they are approachable. A great leader is one who their teammates could see themselves approaching whenever they have a concern or when they simply need someone to discuss things to. When Sam Walton opened over a dozen Walmart stores, he was still available to privately talk to any one of his thousands of employees. Was this the reason Sam Walton was so successful? We can't say for sure, but he is a prime example of someone who's approachable. And it so happens he's also one of the most notable leaders in the last 3 decades. There is a saying that's very appropriate in this situation, and that is, a non-productive work environment is one where employees are discouraged to speak up, fearing the loss of their jobs. Great leaders encourage feedback from all members of the organization. They are approachable. Number 5, they do what they expect of others. If you expect your team to work hard and produce great results, you're going to have to do the same. When I was a kid, I worked at Wendy's, the fast food restaurant. There were 2 managers there, Maria and Francis. Maria was very good at telling us what to do, but she would always be in her office talking on the phone with her boyfriend. We listened to her, but none of us really respected her. And that is because she doesn't place the same expectations for herself as she does for us. Francis, on the other hand, was different. He didn't have a lot of leadership traits. In fact, he even had trouble telling us what to do. But the one thing he did have was he pulled his own weight. When it was busy, he would grab the spatula and start flipping burgers alongside us. As a result, he gained the respect of everyone. Whenever he was our manager, we worked hard because we wanted to, for Francis. A great leader sets an example, and as a result, gains the respect of his or her entire team. Number 6, they are accountable. Your team's mistakes are your mistakes because you are their leader. Remember the restaurant example? When we left out part of the customer's order, the owner and I personally went to deliver what we missed. Imagine the owner of a restaurant coming to your doorstep to apologize for their mistake. That is unheard of, and yet that is exactly the level of accountability great leaders practice all the time. It's not just about responsibility, it's about taking the next step to make things right.